What is up, everybody? This is episode 14 of the Ground Podcast. Today I'm recording from a house in Bend, Oregon, because we have successfully, finally moved and pulled the trigger on a dream we've had together, my wife and I, for a very long time, at least 15, 16 years or so. And it feels really good. We're having a really good time. Speaking of my wife, she's the guest today. Natalie Collier will be joining us, helping me tell the story of this incredible move and some of the misadventures and some of the lessons that we learned along the way. Before we get into that, just a couple of announcements. This episode of the Ground Podcast is sponsored by Pick Branding. Bold branding for the ethically elevated. The dream of Pick Branding is to see the marketplace flooded with those that practice honest dealings, with those who prioritize ethics, who prioritize people over profit, and who want to have a positive impact through their business on the environment instead of a negative one. So if you, friends, are looking to start a business or have a business going that needs help with the branding and identity side of things, even with creative consulting, Pick Branding is there for you. You can find that agency, my agency, at pickbranding.com. We are looking for partners. If you feel aligned with the purpose of building a new universal Christian spirituality, and you're looking for a place to land, a place to partner, that's what the Cathedral Project exists for. So we are calling all nonconformists. We're calling all those who have deconstructed prior belief and are looking to join together with other human beings, regardless of creed, to build a better future for everyone. If that's you, if you feel like you want that kind of camaraderie and you want that kind of companionship, we are looking for creative ways to make that happen, and that's what the collective of the Cathedral Project is all about. If you'd like more information on what that looks like and what it entails, just go ahead and shoot us an email at ground@cathedralproject.com. All right, that does it for the announcements. Now to the main event. Please welcome back to the Ground Podcast, Natalie Collier. Natalie Collier, back on the podcast.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to be here. I flew so far. This is surreal.
You didn't fly, you drove.
I did.
3,000 miles.
I drove my rugged ass off.
Across the country.
Yes.
To move to Bend, Oregon.
Bend,
we did
Oregon.
it.
Here we
did
are.
it.
We did it.
I can't believe it.
I cannot believe it.
We moved across the country.
Made it. Pioneers, you know?
Pioneers.
Feeling it. The old Oregon Trail.
Reminds me of a Coheed and Cambria song.
I bet it does, because you're going there this summer.
The Pioneers.
Oh.
Yeah. Some people think he's Geddy Lee reincarnated.
I don't know who that is.
I know you don't.
Yeah.
That's the lead singer from Rush.
Oh, yeah. I don't know who that is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We're 0 for 2.
Yeah. This is so intimate.
What's the lead singer of Coheed and Cambria's name?
Coheed.
0 for 3.
What is Cambria?
Claudio Sanchez.
For 200.
So we moved to our dream town we've wanted to move to forever. And the reason I'm talking about Coheed and Cambria is because I'm going to be taking my sons to see them at the Hayden Homes Amphitheater, which is 10 minutes down the road from my house in Bend.
Are they our sponsor?
No. Hayden Homes? I would love that. I would love that so much. We've already seen Third Eye Blind with Yellow Card. Jeez. That 90s kid heart just swelled up. It was 2 sizes too small, but then it swelled up.
Oh, oh my God.
How do you feel?
I feel alive.
Me too.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It feels like a dream. I told my first official coffee date of Ben today. I told my new friend, I was like, Holly, I feel like someone's going to knock on the door any moment and be like, hey, your hotel stay is over.
Yeah. And that's the common accent in Bend, Oregon. is, like a cab driver from New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be like, wait, why are you here? You're supposed to be in New York.
The jig is up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think until we close on our other home at the end of this month, it's still going to feel like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is so adult to have moved across the country with a house still under our name.
Talk
back
about
home.
sweating bullets.
Well, not home, I guess, right?
Right.
Back in Georgia.
Yes.
And then signing a lease agreement for a rental property and having to double up on those payments.
Does it make you sweat?
A little bit.
You're sweating
I just
a
took
little
my
bit.
hat off and fanned my head. It was a subconscious thing. I didn't even realize I had done it. But yeah, we're finishing up our Georgia business next week.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
God, it's hot there right now.
Yeah, it is. If you're listening and you're from back in Georgia,
Peace be with you.
we know. We see you, and we're sorry that you're experiencing what you're experiencing.
And we won't tell you that the weather this week, we've had a hoodie on and the sun's been out.
Don't say that. I just got an email.
A hateful email.
That the asphalt started to melt in Rome, Georgia, exposing, I'm not joking, exposing original brick from like the 1700s or something.
Meanwhile, I had 6 flecks of snow on my t-shirt.
Record heat wave in Rome, and we're like putting on a hoodie in the morning here and then having a high of like 78 during the day.
Or 60.
It's amazing. Yeah. If you've never been, you should visit. You really should. It's beautiful.
It is breathtaking, and it feels completely different. Like, a lot of people think that's cliche. It really does feel different. What you see, how the air feels, how the weather is, how the people act. Even one thing we've noticed, like, people that are older here seem younger. They're wearing like Patagonia and Chacos, and they got weird hair with a cool beanie on. And you're like, how old are you? And they're like, I'm 75. And I'm like, oh, okay. This isn't normal. And it's very inspiring.
Yeah. It's a different culture. You can tell there's an air of intentionality here. Yeah. It's pretty wild. But moreover, just we get to look in the mirror and say to ourselves that we followed through on a dream that we've had for a long time. Yeah.
We are betting on ourselves, and we're resolute.
All of the pieces aren't perfectly in line.
Not even.
It's something a lot of people would be very uncomfortable with. I guess just making a road trip across the country in the first place and leaving the state that they lived in their entire lives would be enough to deter a lot of people. Yes. And we have a couple of other little things that still have to get figured out, but we got it.
Little, he means big.
Nah, they're not too big. We got it. Oh, well, speaking of the things that we don't have perfectly in line, what was it like packing up your house, Nat? What was it like packing up? I would
like to go on record to say this was the best I've ever done, and it was still about a 4 out of 10 in my ability level to organize and assimilate all of the
Not
shit.
One of your strengths.
Not a strength of mine.
Not a strength.
Nor singing.
No.
But I do it anyway.
But you do it anyway.
I do.
Yeah. I felt like I was in Frozen for a second.
You were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like the voice said I was singing in church, you know?
So we have to give a shout out to Mr. Corey Tibbetts.
My brother in love.
The man himself.
The myth.
The legend. With his absolutely immaculate gallbladder. Just a total... That's an inside joke. That's an inside joke for Corey.
We love you. I want to cry just loving thinking about you.
Yeah, he friends that come through for you in a move are next level friends. But this guy was like a superhero. Yeah. It was insane. I'm
Chas.
Forever grateful. Yeah, of course, Chastity.
He just came in clutch and
Corey's wife.
Literally, we would not have gotten out the door if it were not for this friend, and we're forever in debt.
Yeah, we are. And it was so weird driving away from that place. And,
plants falling out of the 26-foot Uhaul with the additional 5x8 you rented the night before at 9 o'clock.
Yeah. We started getting everything in the truck. The biggest one Uhaul will rent you, and it wasn't all fitting. And I'm like, oh my God, I have got to get more space. We have a GMC Acadia, 6 people.
2 dogs.
2 dogs.
Not small dogs.
And the truck won't take everything. I've got to go get more space. So I went and got a trailer, brought it back, still almost ran out of space, still had a bunch of junk left at the house, had to hire a junk removal service to come and throw away a bunch of stuff.
After we had 4 yard sale days and thrown away things and sold things on Facebook Marketplace, and I came to you with plants the day we were leaving.
Yeah.
A bucket load of plants. And
I think the biggest grief for me over the course of the move was not being able to be as present for the moments as they were happening as I would have liked to be because of how much overwhelm I was dealing with.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. I look back now and realize how enormous those moments were, but that was hard.
It is hard. And I think I will say we started planning this back around Thanksgiving, and we started actively preparing for it slowly in January, and we still felt down to the wire. So I will just say, I don't know if that's comforting or discouraging. It just, shit just multiplies. And you're like, how did this happen?
Oh yeah. I would say if you're thinking about purging your house,
do it.
Don't wait. Don't make any excuses, and do so much more than you think you should.
Yep.
Because you have way more, I promise. If you're a typical American, and we didn't realize how typical we were in this regard, you probably have too much stuff. So do it. It's very freeing.
It was very freeing.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
So 3,000 miles over 8 days.
Almost 9 days, right? 9?
Oh, no. I think, actually, it may have been more. It may have been 7 because we cut one day off at the end. You remember? Yeah. Rolled into Bend at 11 p.m. last Monday night. I guess that was the 3rd.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago. Oh, gosh. And stayed in a really nice hotel but again, head buzzing from everything.
We learned a lot of lessons of what not to do. So feel free to reach out, send us a message, and we'll just send you the shit list that we did.
Yeah.
That now we know better.
Yeah. Yeah. Email ground@cathedralproject.com.
Shit list.
If you need a list of things not to do.
Yes.
We've got them. So Yellowstone, that was definitely a highlight.
Yeah. Life highlight.
Yeah, it really was.
I saw that buffalo and I seriously cried. I just cried.
Yeah.
It's like majestic and holy.
Yeah. So not to spoil the Yellowstone trip, but I don't care if I never see another buffalo in my life. Because at the end of the day, gosh, I don't even think it was all that late. I think it was like 5 or so local time there in Montana. We started to drive out and got stuck in traffic for about 3 hours.
Over that, yeah.
Because buffalo were on the street, just on the road, just blocking traffic.
And when he says stuck, we mean actually moving less than 1 mile in an hour. And I think it was closer to 4 hours.
Yeah, with no cell phone service.
No cell service at all. No snacks in the car whatsoever. Everyone needing to use the restroom. 2 dogs in the back that were anxious as hell.
And people just persnickety.
It was so fun.
You guys know the road trip thing, right? You know how that is. The family dynamic puts a little strain on things. Now you got to wait after buffalo. But I will say, the things that we saw in there, it makes you feel...
Changes you.
Yeah, it makes you feel like your planet is so much bigger and more powerful and majestic than you ever knew it was.
Because it is.
The stuff you see in there. Like there was this gigantic waterfall, and I got a thing for waterfalls. I'm like,
you do.
I'm like, I don't go chasing waterfalls. You know what I mean?
Like if I died, Jake would marry a waterfall.
I would. Yeah. I think it was Terrence McKenna that said, if you're looking for a teacher, just go sit in front of a waterfall.
Yeah.
You know, I lose it. I get very quiet and very emotional and very dad-like.
Yeah.
Around a waterfall.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
We saw Mama Bear with her babies.
We did.
One of our sons said, I love feeling small. It makes me feel like I have no control over things, and that feels very peaceful. Yeah. And I thought that was so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was worth the whole ride in the car.
It really was. Those little baby bears playing with one another, trying to climb up a tree and falling out of the tree. We saw that with our eyes right in front of us. So here's the thing, though. There's this range of mountains not long after you get out of Yellowstone when you're on the way to Oregon. It's called the Tetons.
Yep.
And there's a pass.
Grand Teton Pass.
Through the Tetons. God. That's like probably like a 15% grade uphill.
I thought it said 12, but yeah.
If you want to take a few years off your life,
Jesus.
get in a 26-foot U-Haul with all your possessions
Floor
in it.
to ceiling packed.
Airtight.
Yeah.
Like a Lego champion.
Yep.
With the trailer.
With a child in the car with you.
With your son in there with you. And drive up that pass.
Wait. But after you have already stressed about a move and loaded said vehicle and thought of all the variables and are cognitively impaired from that and sleeping through 3 different time zones.
Right.
Then do it.
When you see the RPMs on that U-Haul screaming at about 5,000, 6,000, and you're going 20 miles an hour.
You were going 16 miles an hour because I was behind you.
Yeah. And you see the traffic piling up behind you. Yeah. That's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to feel something.
I'm speechless still.
You were. Like, Jake pulled over, like, midway through it. Jake pulled over midway through to let cars pass. And then I was behind him like, oh God, he just stopped. So like he has no momentum at all. And now from a stop on the incline, he's got to keep going. And truly, when I say that he did not go over 20 the whole time, that's real. And he said his foot was all the way to the floor.
To the floor. Through the floor.
Through the floor. His foot fell out onto the road and he was actually walking
I was.
up.
I was giving it extra juice.
Just the Grinch, you know?
Yeah, I could have used the help.
Yeah.
Could have used the help, Jim Carrey.
I was proud of you.
Yeah, thanks. Just a couple days after we made it through the pass, there was a landslide that took out a road. Took out the road we drove on.
Yes.
So maybe I did that. I don't know.
That's real. Google it.
Yeah,
you did do that.
that
It was
really
you exceeded
happened.
the weight limit.
Yeah. When I heard that after I'd already, I prefer not to think about it. So it was gorgeous, though. They were some of the most beautiful driving you will ever do.
In the United States, for sure.
Unbelievable. Coming into Jackson, Wyoming from Montana.
God, I want to go back.
I've never seen stuff like this before. It was unbelievable.
Oh, and our kids got it. You know, as a parent, you tell your kid, you try to explain these wonderful life lessons and you get exhausted, and then you see that and you see them get it. And that makes it all worth it. Like, I would do it again for real, for that to watch it come alive in your kid, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is magical.
Yeah. That was unbelievable. So we made it through, caused a landslide. Almost certainly.
Possibly.
No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't my fault. It was days later, and apparently the roadway had been, troublesome for decades before that. I don't know. Anyway, that makes me feel better. But driving into Oregon too, from Idaho was gorgeous. And then coming into Oregon, you go through
piece
this
of Montana.
Yeah, you go through this town called Vail through this area. Okay, so pro tip for anybody driving.
Wait, you're not setting this. You're not setting this up right. Okay, Jake is not the one who usually is risky or negligent or impulsive. That's my role in our marriage.
And that's still true in this story.
No.
Yes.
You were in front of me, and I see him. He has the girls in the car, and I see him pass what looks like a movie set, old 1920s gas station.
Yeah, like if Cowboys had a gas station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like Clint
I
Eastwood
see him
gas station.
pass it, and the gas station looks like a little precious shithole.
Precious shithole. Precious shithole, Wyoming. Yeah. This was actually Oregon. Yeah.
And he goes right on past it. And I was like, oh, bold move. Okay.
So I saw a sign that said next gas 68 miles.
Hi.
Yeah, it said next gas 68 miles. Well, I looked down at the U-Haul's dashboard and the gas, the remaining gas, says like 90 miles or something like that.
Daddy rolled the dice and lost the house.
What? I didn't roll. I didn't roll a dice.
Yeah, you did. I said, "Oh, Dad's feeling spicy."
In my thinking, I had at least an extra 30 miles or so of gas, right?
Improper thinking.
Not in retrospect, not my best moment. Now, I will say,
you were weary as hell.
I have no idea how I would have gotten that truck into that little rickety ass cowboy
Precious shithole.
Clint Eastwood precious shithole to get the gas. Oh, but anyway,
I
okay.
wish people could see it because it actually looked like it was made of cardboard.
Like this sound right here.
Yeah, that's what the whole thing made.
Something was being blown and making that sound. A sign,
yes,
a rocking chair,
a person's body.
A person's prosthetic leg. I don't know, something.
So wait, so I have the boys in the car. Jake is in front of me in the Uhaul with two little girls. And the boys start to catastrophize the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
So we're driving through beautiful.
I've done a great job parenting.
Yes. Beautiful sandy mountains. Gorgeous mountains.
Sandy mountains? Beautiful sandy mountains. This is probably not as funny as we think it is. I think it's hilarious.
They weren't sandy.
No, they
were deserty.
Well, they were kind of deserty.
They were super
I'll give you that.
sandy.
I'll give you that. Okay.
And there's this gorgeous river.
This is such a Georgian description of this area. Sandy mountains.
So it's beautiful. And we're going for so long.
Yeah.
God dang, we were driving and I'm looking
Such
down.
a
I'm
long
like,
time.
wow, this is a lot longer than I pictured. And the whole time there's no self-service whatsoever.
Yeah. No, absolutely none.
So we tarried on for what, 45 minutes?
Tarried there, yes, we did tarry
And
on.
we pull up beside Jake and he
William.
rolls down his window manually because that's how the 26-foot goes. So we
Yep.
see his body motion.
Uh-huh.
And Abram looks over and says, "Are you good?"
And over the roar of the engine, I say, "I'm about to run out of gas."
And the look of peril in his eyes was just twinkling asunder.
What has gotten into you?
And Asher goes, "Dad said he's good. Dad said he's good." And Abram says, "No, that's not what he said. He said he's out of gas."
Yes, I said I'm about to run out of gas. Yes.
And mind you, we are going upwards, right?
Yes,
At that
up
point.
a hill, up a big
Not
big
down,
grade.
up.
And it says I have 5 miles until I'm going to run out of gas.
And then it said 1.
And then it said 1. And if you know about gas tanks in cars, a lot of times they give you like a spare extra, allotment so that you don't just, that's a couple extra gallons more than they tell you in the car. So we pull over, see some guys pulled over, say, hey, I'm so sorry to interrupt your lovely sightseeing experience. We're about to run out of gas. Do you have any tips? And the guy says, "Oh, down at the bottom of this hill, there's something down there. There's a gas station down there."
This hill is the most relative term of our whole road trip,
By the way, we're at probably the 80-mile mark at this point. It's not 67 miles. That was just Oregon had a failure of the road system right there. So anyway, we risk it. We get up that hill. We go down this big, long grade and see a gas station.
But before that,
Praise the Lord.
the boys are in the car saying, "Dad's going to run out of gas and he's going to go careening out of control because the brake assist?
Engine braking.
Engine braking is not going to work."
On a truck that big that's going to pull that much weight, there's engine braking. It's not just the brakes on the wheels, because if that was all you were depending on, you'd wear the brakes out from all that weight. So coming out of Branson, Missouri was my first trial on how this works. Those hills, I don't know if you've ever driven there, but absolutely insane, huge, like 2-mile incline,
Beautiful.
2-mile decline straight, just gorgeous, but very intimidating. So I'm thinking the engine's going to run out of gas, which means it won't be able to power the engine braking, which means that I'm going to wear out my brakes on the way down this hill with all of our possessions in it.
And our daughters.
God help us.
And the boys are going, "Dad's going to run out of control. This is reckless." And I am thinking, oh God, I'll just zoom the Acadia in front of him and start to slow down, and he can run into me with the front of the U-Haul, and we'll just work it out. That's how stressful it was.
Yeah.
So then you see the gas station, and you're rolling in on fumes. You said it says 0 miles.
Yeah.
And this also looks like a precious little shithole.
Yes,
Number
another
2.
precious shithole, because apparently that's all there is for hundreds of miles when you come into Oregon.
Yes.
So, pro tip from earlier at the beginning of this story is get gas
Every time.
Every time. Just
Everywhere.
get it. Just get it. If
Grab
it's
it.
there, get it. Take it.
Have an
hold
extra
it,
tank.
Love it.
Love it.
Suck it. Get the gas.
Wow.
Don't suck it. Don't do that. Anyways, so yeah, there was a little town nearby. We had a minor inconvenience overall of just driving to get the gas from the place and coming back.
You didn't tell him. We pulled in and it was closed. And it didn't accept cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got
the
into
precious
the gas
shithole number 2 was closed.
Yes.
And didn't take credit cards.
Yes, at all.
And the minor inconvenience I just said was we weren't going to make it to the next town, so we had to stop. We had to load everybody into the Acadia, which
Without
meant
some seatbelts.
Yeah, which meant moving a bunch of shit around to make everybody
Filling
fit.
up the car, the U-Haul cab with shit from the Acadia. Everyone's hangry at this point. The dogs are shaking like they will be nonverbal forever.
By the way, this episode is sponsored by the GMC Acadia.
Yes.
We've mentioned that model name quite a few times
Acadia.
now. So yeah, make it to a town. Super nice people there working at the gas station, which was a little better than a precious shithole.
Right, it was about 25 miles away.
25 miles. And Dwight, if you're out there,
love Dwight.
if you're listening to this, Dwight, you're my guy. You're my guy.
Angel.
You're my boy, Blue. Absolutely. Went home, got his 5-gallon gas can for us, brought it back to the gas station. We filled that up, took it back to U-Haul, and we're able.
Before we did that, we let the children buy things in the gas
Hot
station
Pockets.
for the first time in their life.
Yeah.
Pay for frozen things and use the microwave that was a little sketch, and then wash their hands in the utility
That was a
sink.
hepatitis A microwave, I think. Not B.
It
It was old enough.
It was a precious shithole.
It was. The microwave was. Yeah. Oh, Lord. So, yeah, Dwight, you're the man. Anyway, long story short, cost us about an extra hour on our trip. But
A little longer than that.
yeah. And then we drove through the beautiful desert outside of Bend in the dark, which was probably a lot more beautiful than we were able to appreciate.
Yeah.
But we made it.
We did.
We made it.
We did. Before midnight.
Before midnight. Yeah. Wow, guys. So there you go.
Here we are.
There you go. Yeah, you gotta
Bendites.
stick with it. Bendites till we die. I guess. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what life throws us. Who knows?
If we have anything to do with it.
So the day that we start unpacking boxes, the following day, get a phone call from my job, find out that I'm not going to be able to count on the money I thought I was going to be able to count on, which was fascinating. Fascinating timing. And that's the challenge we're talking about right now. We're okay. If you're out there listening and you're worried about us, don't be. We're okay. We're set up in a way that we're going to make it through all that. It's okay. But definitely gave us a brand new wrinkle on the brain of lessons learned and things to stress about. But that's the lesson I think that I'm learning from this whole move is that, one, the lessons are everywhere around you. Like when you think you're not present to something and you're having too much stress, if you can be mindful of the fact that has occurred, step back from your situation and be mindful of the fact that has occurred, feel the feelings that you need to feel honestly, and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What from this is going to make me better?
And how can I show up? I get to choose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do want to clarify that we moved out with the plan and intention of a agreed upon.
Yeah. It was,
severance
we made our plans based
As people do.
on these, our move plans based on this expectation. And then
That was fully concrete.
yeah. Oh yeah. And would not have moved when we did if we'd have known.
Nope.
But here we are. We're going to be okay. House is selling next week, and we're okay.
We're going to
It's
build
pretty
everything
wild.
new.
Just riding by the seat of the old pants.
And if anything, it feels like deep confirmation of the rebirth that we're experiencing.
Yeah.
And
Just feels,
we're gonna
yeah.
make it as such.
You hit your biggest challenges when you walk in the truth of who you are. When you decide that you're going to take your path and that it might diverge from the path other people thought you should take. Don't be surprised when you meet resistance. You know, that's a huge lesson that we're learning through this. And, you know, there are definitely things we're going to miss. We have people back in Georgia who we love very much, who we are not going to get to see like we used to, and who we, you know, miss already.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot. Mm-hmm. It's all very fresh.
Yeah. And I missed my farmhouse. I knew I would. It was our dream house, just not our dream life.
Right. So working deconstruction into all this.
Woo!
Working deconstruction in. Every time that we get asked why we moved, it's so obvious what people mean when they ask that question. Have you noticed that?
100% of the time.
Yeah. 100% of the time, why are you here is tied to one reality.
And all of you know what we're probably alluding to.
It's your job and your money. Every single time. Your
Security.
job and your money. Your job and your money. Your job and your money. So the thing that we keep realizing is deconstructing one thing is going to lead you to deconstruct another so often. And you when you begin to be mindful of the reality that you live in and begin to step outside of it, you begin to see, and this is not a superiority statement, you just begin to see people who are still kind of subscribing to the things that you aren't anymore. People who are still buying into the things that you aren't buying into anymore.
And you become aware of how programming has affected you and how you thought these were your own individual independent thoughts. And as you start to awaken, you realize, oh, that's not just a default thought.
Yeah.
That was like wrought into me for a very long time. This scarcity mentality, this fear-based, this very logical next step, not to live in a place where you are wanting a life full of joy and delight.
Yeah. The American dream is tied up in internalized capitalism. There's this idea of capitalism beginning to define identity. And so why are you moving to Bend? It couldn't be just simply because you want to.
And want to lay new roots for your family and start a new story.
Right. It would have to be because your employment situation changed or because money has given you the power to do what you want, you know?
Or a job was waiting on you here.
Yeah. 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 And I just, I don't know. Look, you definitely have to have a job in this country if you want to partake in the marketplace, if you want to participate in buying groceries,
A home.
yeah, buying a home, renting a home, whatever it is that you want to do, having a car, getting around, you have to have employment or money for those things to happen. So it's like, you know, the equivalent of that, let's say we lived in some sort of tribal situation, you have to hunt, you have to work inside the tribe, inside the village,
And
you know.
there's beauty in that. There's meaning in it.
But the difference is we're kind of externalizing our meaning structure with the American dream and taking it from just the value of our own livelihood being our life and our very being.
Yes, and being most important.
Yeah, and we're turning it into like wage slavery, where your life will be dictated to you by this system that you live in, and that's something that we don't feel has to always apply. And I think more people who are willing to think outside the box are going to be able to live more happily, choosing their own life paths. You know, like I think we need to feel the freedom to do that and to dream and to think that way. You know, you can get creative. You can make it work.
Yeah, and I would like to say too, there have been so many friends and people online that have messaged me or reached out and talked about how courageous they feel like this is. And it's really sparked something in me to realize, like, the way that the American idealized dream is, we really walk away from courage. Like when you're a little kid and you're not scared to climb the tree or jump off that ledge or all the things we all did as kids, and we lose that courage. And a dear friend before we left said the universe really honors courage. And we have seen these beautiful expressions of that along the way that have felt so soulfully true, of like, oh, this is a pioneering spirit in us that we have let sit for a while and be kind of dormant. And it feels very alive. It feels like embodiment to go for it and to realize we do have the power to shift and change reality. And most of the time, the majority of us, including myself in seasons, live in fear of what's the worst case. And that's how we define our life. Well, I could never do that, because what if these 17 things happened and made that not work out? Well, no way. It's irresponsible.
Excuse
and
me.
realizing, like, but what if it did work out?
Yeah.
What if as you took a step, the abundance of God met you there? And then you learned something new about yourself and deepened your character and saw the world in a different way. And so far, we feel like that has happened over and over again, down to we were loading up our house. I can't believe we haven't shared this. Loading up our house, our realtor says there's a couple that wants to see your house. And we're like, there's crap everywhere. We
can't clean up. I thought we weren't going to have any showings until after we left.
And we had already had a contract that fell through. And we were still going. We were resolute. We're like, we're going because we're already on the hook for rent and Bend. We're going. And this couple comes while the house is in a state of crazy disarray. And the moment we saw them, my deeply empathic friend was like, I just was like, that's them. And they were kind. And every single thing that we wanted someone to buy our house, how we wanted them to feel, that's how they felt. Like, we wanted someone that wanted to nurture the land and continue all the things we've done. And this couple was obsessed, made an offer, and the offer was finalized, or the contract was, while we were on the road. Yeah. And we were just like, we didn't do this. This is crazy.
Yeah. Like, we had these amazing pictures taken where the house looked just absolutely palatial, majestic. And then we're, in the midst of our craziness, and you could see it on their face. Like, so many people that came through, we didn't have a good vibe about them, or they didn't look like they had the right attitude or intention, but these people did. Yeah. I mean, they were giving us hugs on the way out the door.
Yes, and asked for my phone number. And we were just like, this is that whole thing. This is the honoring of courage. And we didn't do it. Like, we can't brag about it. We didn't do it.
I think that the biggest mindset shift, I'm glad you said that, because the biggest thing that happened in my mind was I opened more to the mystical in the understanding of the fact that if I begin to take steps toward what I truly believe I'm supposed to be, where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be doing, then God, the universe, is going to see me and is maybe not going to fill my pockets up with billions of dollars, though that could happen to anybody, but is definitely going to start showing me some sort of sign, some sort of affirmation.
And the next right thing.
And the next right thing to do, And this couple 100% was that for us. Yeah, so it's funny, though, like, we probably wouldn't have ended up in this space that we are right now. We're talking about spirituality related to the universe and related to this couple and taking the steps and the universe rewarding bravery. We probably wouldn't be in this kind of mindset if we hadn't started to deconstruct our spirituality in the first place.
We would have
or Christianity.
Been opposite. We would have been praying, very stressed praying. I think praying's beautiful, by the way, but like praying where you're fearful. Like, oh God, it's not working out. And this is not it. And the devil's coming against it and all of this. And that was, I had a bizarre level of peace. Yeah. Jake was like, what was happening?
Yeah. I would say, it's William, by the way. I would say, for the podcast, it's William.
Babe.
God. So another thing that became obvious, and it's becoming obvious looking for a way to get the kids and our family into a faith gathering out here, which is a whole other topic. But that question we were talking about earlier, tied to the American dream of like, why are you here? obviously it's got to be your job or it's got to be your money. The authority structure, the questioning of authority is a big part of what makes Natalie and I, or me.
William and Natalie.
Me. Fuck you, Liz. Natalie and me. If you're shrinking fans, you'll get that.
Yeah.
But a big part of what makes us is that questioning of authority. And it's interesting. Christianity seems so complementary to this authoritarian structure that people sort of subscribe to every day in their life. All these Pauline ideas about the authorities that are over you being put there and ordained by God, and how it's eerie how well assembled our biblical story is to people submitting to earthly authority. Even though we do have overtones of like God's the ultimate authority and all of that, we sort of offload that and become really okay with the rhythms of life that we're in, and we submit. Mm-hmm. We submit to them as an authority,
whether it's subconscious or deliberate.
Yeah, we submit to this culture. We submit to these ideas. We submit to them because we have these theological, doctrinal sort of edifices that
and it's safe.
Make it easy and safe. Exactly. And that's something that we tend to question and tend to pull apart. And that's such a huge part of why we're here. But it is weird trying to come back around and find a faith gathering. So we're working on that right now.
I do also want to say when we got here, we woke up exhausted, came from the hotel back to our new rental, and Jake's precious cousin, who I also call my cousin, had a welcome home sign, and her partner Kate was here with breakfast, and they had thought of everything, and we just felt so held. And it was like, God, this feels so abundant, and it's messy, and it's unknown, and we don't have it figured out. We had a new realtor friend. She came over that night and brought a delicious meal. Like, it all just felt very held and spiritual, and what would be the right word?
I would say there's a quote that I've heard many times here recently that says, you'll know you're on the right path.
Oh, yeah.
When the path disappears.
Yeah.
And when you're really actualizing yourself and you're
becoming who you're making.
Right. When you're really taking those steps, it can be really daunting because it feels like you don't know where you're going. But by God, we made our reality into what it is right now.
Yeah.
And I just want to encourage anybody out there who is, stuck in a certain holding pattern. You don't have to do that. You don't have to be there. Yeah. You can shake things up. You be willing to be looked at like a crazy person if that's what it means for you to reclaim who you are and to freaking just do what you want to do.
Yeah.
You can do it. We have so many avenues and so many possibilities and potentials for creativity to support ourselves in new ways. There's just all kinds of stuff out there for us. We just have to remember that the universe is an abundant place. It's not a desolate wasteland where you got to scrap for everything. You definitely have to take care of yourself for sure.
And hard times come.
But you'll get rewarded for stepping out and for being brave and doing something new. And at least you get to look in the mirror and say, I'm trying so hard to be myself.
Yeah.
I'm honoring myself.
For the betterment of the world too.
Absolutely.
That's the thing for me and Jake. We felt like our fullest expression in our hearts feels like it would take root best here. So we came here to go for that and to realize like that at the core of the whole universe, we believe it's love. And so if that's the real, then no matter what, come what may, we went after what we felt like was our sincere expression of who we are created to be.
Yeah.
And that feels like everything. That feels like the pearl beyond price.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to be too cheesy or anything, but Bend is kind of a deconstructed and reconstructed town. We learned about its history at like this cool class they do called Bend 101, where anybody who's new to the town can come and attend and hear from like an economist that works for the town, and from like the librarian who's been working here for
Parks and Rec.
40 years and it used to be a logging town that just totally failed in the Great Depression and had to just lose its identity and come up with a new plan.
Yeah.
And now I will stand behind this statement. This is, I really believe, an exemplary town for what the United States could look like if it really put intention behind what it does.
And mindfulness to the earth.
Yeah, like the kind of concern that they show for the natural environment, the activism, the efforts that are put into making it safe. The crime rate is like absolutely in the just low out here, because the people that are here want to be here. This is an intentional town, and I think that it's inspiring. Look, wherever you are, bring greater intention to where you are. Bring your gifts. Get on some kind of board or some sort of volunteer efforts around you, and make it into what you want to see. We I suppose could have done more of that back home. But we were too busy with our homesteading, and we did. We started our ground gathering, and we put in the work. But
we didn't nail everything.
We didn't nail everything, and we're imperfect, and we're learning. So if you're out there, Sunday thing, ground gathering, Georgia, we love you. Thank you for being with us and for co-conspiring with us for the sake of love and universal spirituality. You guys are great. We miss you. So what's the future look like, Nat, from here? Where are we going? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Wow. The future is yet to be written. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Wow. Who is that?
Natasha Bedingfield.
Natasha Bedingfield, yeah.
The future is
staring at the blank page before you. Open up the dirty window.
With the sun illuminate the way.
All right.
Jesus,
Heck yeah, Elsa.
That's so bad.
Bring it.
I met with a new friend today for coffee, and she was just talking to me like, you have gone out on a limb, and you now get to build and create the life that you wanted. You are here. This is the first step. And last night in bed, Jake and I were snuggling, and he said, I said, what's your top emotion? You want to share?
Yeah, well, it's a couple of things. I mean, mainly it's just, there's this general groundlessness.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah, of like just knowing that the path has disappeared. And we're here, and we're excited,
thrilled.
And this town is just blowing our socks off. I can ride my bike to a brewery in 10 minutes.
Like, we're actually laughing.
Yeah.
Throughout the day, we go, oh my God.
Yeah.
Do we live here?
I can go on a walk with my dogs and have them at a dog park in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Never
5-minute walk. Never getting in the car. It's blowing my mind. But when I lay my head down on the pillow at night, there are just so many thoughts and so many familiarities, and so much of the stepping stones that I'm used to are just not there. So, emotionally, I think the biggest lesson that I've learned that I'm taking with me into the future, and this is where I'm going to go here to wrap up, is I have realized that the discipline that I want for my kids to learn from me, and I think all of us could learn from this, is just the discipline of letting life teach you.
Yeah.
Letting life be the teacher. You don't have to externalize your discipline onto some new ideology or some new religion or some new teacher. You can get a lot of help from those things. But life, God, the Holy Spirit is here now.
Mother Nature.
My wife and my relationship with her, Nat, our relationship is such a teacher to me. My kids, this move, wanting to be present and realizing that the stress I had to work through and the work that I had to do, the moments that I was present were such a disciplinary act It was a spiritual discipline for me to be present.
Yeah.
And I did it. I didn't do it every time. I didn't do it perfectly, but life taught me through that. So the idea of this faith gathering that we were alluding to a moment ago, like, I don't feel this giant albatross around my neck of burden to make sure that we get involved in a local church. I feel like we need the community somehow.
Yeah.
We have to find some kind of structure, or even if that means making it, sometime in the near future. But I will tell you that what I feel like I can provide is service to people who have been through things similar to what I've been through. With my business history, with what I've learned in marketing and in branding and design,
And the School of Life.
and the School of Life. I am announcing right now that I am starting a branding agency called Pick Branding. It's authentic to me as a musician. The guitar pick, that's the central logo. And the idea of picking something, it's buried in our instincts. It's an evolutionary thing. We were hunter-gatherers at one point, where we were picking the right berry
And staying away
to sustain
from the
us,
wrong.
and staying away from the wrong ones. And we pick things all the time intentionally with decision. We reach out and we pick them to create the fabric of our lives. And that's what this agency is kind of aiming at, is looking to build ethical businesses. Those are the clients that I want to work with. People who, when we pick those businesses, I want them to be picked. I want them to be attractive, and I want them to bring sustenance and life and health to the world and to their clients. So, that's what I'm going to be working on. I'm going to be bringing some courses out to help people through some of the pitfalls that I've run into in my professional life.
I'm going to be ramping up my coaching again. I'm taking some time off to get moved and to get settled. Jake and I are talking through retreats and like marriage retreats. So there's a lot there. And I feel like it keeps coming back to dreams for me. I've always been a dreamer, and I'm able to chase that and to find that in people and to like mine that out. And so I'm going to be focusing my coaching more on kind of being a dream doula of sorts. And I'm really excited because that feels like this overarching theme of our entire life together, our marriage, all the things we've tried, things that we've failed at. It's like, oh, this is the driving thing that's been behind it the whole time, to like bring that full expression of someone's dream and their dream self to life.
Yeah, that's blessherbones.com. If you need that kind of affirmation and guidance in your life, that's where you can find Natalie for that support. Yeah. So, we're looking at doing a lot of things, like we said, building up some community structure around us. But if you are interested in this kind of thing, just connect with us. We're going to be working on and building a lot of things. You can email us, like I jokingly alluded to earlier, at ground@cathedralproject.com, and we'll talk more and see how we can connect and see if there's any ways we can help you guys. But I hope that our story has been fun to listen to. Nat, thank you for coming and helping me tell the story, because you're great at it. That was hilarious. Precious little shithole.
I was literally about to say, I will go to every precious little shithole with you forever. You are my precious little shithole.
Oh, don't say that.
Aww.
Don't say that.
No, but really, y'all, be brave. Chase your dreams. And don't focus on what's the worst case. Focus on what if it works out. And if it doesn't, it's one step towards the next right thing for you.
Yeah, and you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay.
That's so beautiful, and it's so true.
Yeah. All right. Amen. Cheers. Love you, babe.
Love you.
How's that for a story, huh? 6 people, 2 dogs, 3,000 miles, a 26-foot Uhaul, and a GMC ACADIAAAA, the family vehicle of 2024. Thanks for listening to our crazy story. This is just kind of the way we live, guys. And it's pretty fun. I'm not going to lie to you. It does come with its inconveniences here and there, and sometimes it's a struggle. But you know what? If it looks crazy, it's probably just because of the lack of conformity. Conformity is something that we start to subscribe to without realizing it, right? Over time, like we were alluding to in the interview there, submitting to cultural values, submitting to those as an authority over us as to how we should live our lives, how a successful life should look. And really, it's pretty dull for everyone to conform to that same standard, I think. So I'm not saying our life is superior to any of yours. I'm just saying that if you're on the fence about whether to live more on the edge of your seat, more with life as an adventure, I would just encourage you to go ahead and take the step forward into a bold beyond whatever you're doing right now. Like the idea of your situation changing and the people around you beginning to raise their eyebrows and ask questions shouldn't bother us nearly like it does, because that's more of an indication of that person's internal landscape and worldview than it is a reflection on you and your place in the world and your belonging here with the rest of us. So with that in mind, today we are going to focus our attention and our meditation time on the idea of the void. And I know this is a little bit of a left turn maybe for a lot of people. Maybe that's what it sounds like to you. But it's really the opposite. In a lot of Buddhist teaching, we hear a lot mentioned about the void, or the abyss, as it's sometimes called. And it's this idea that the ground beneath all being, everything that we experience, is so utterly immaterial compared to our physical experience. Whatever it is that exists outside of the universe, the ether between what appears to us to be empty space, and then the space between particles and space between planets, standing outside all that, there's even more of what would seem to be empty space conceptually, right? There, or at least it seems like there could be. But even if there isn't, even if we're not speaking purely scientifically right now, we are at least confronting an idea that exists somewhere in our consciousness. It's like the boogeyman, or like, whatever that scary thing is that's like a trope, the black swan sort of conscious experience that floats around through humanity. The abyss is this kind of concept. It's something that all of us feel at one time or another in our life. And the idea that's presented to us in Buddhism and other spiritual traditions is that we should begin to entertain the idea of that being a part of reality that we can welcome and that we can learn from. Because if the base of all being is something far larger and far more incomprehensible than we can fathom, that might appear to our human consciousness as something like an abyss or a black void of emptiness. So this idea that you'll know you're on the right path when the path disappears speaks directly to this concept. Whether it's reality or just some trope that we're passing around as human beings mentally between one another, still, the idea of wrestling with this concept can produce some positive results for us, because who is observing the abyss? What is it that's aware of the idea of the abyss in the first place? And whatever that is you. You are at the core of that awareness of that reality. That consciousness, that base consciousness, that ocean. So much of what terrified early humans, and still terrifies a lot of us right now to this day, about the ocean is the depths and the unknownness of it. The ocean is really a great representation in our physical world for this concept we have of the abyss, of the void, of endlessness, and the fear of the unknown. And that is what I'm trying to articulate right now, is this idea that on the other side of adventure, of you pursuing your true self, you may find that you encounter this reality or this idea. And I just want to encourage you that that does not mean that you are not still right in the center of ultimate love, of ultimate consciousness, because that's all there is. Really, that's what the void is. When one thing is all there is, and you're swimming in the middle of it, it begins to feel like nothingness. And if we can turn a switch inside our minds, we can see the beauty of that reality, that you are one with this enormity. And the overwhelm of it is that egoic grasping for certainty. The fear and the overwhelm comes from that grasping. That's kind of a Western layman approach to that Buddhist teaching. So when we let go of the illusion of certainty, because nothing is certain, right, except change, when we let go of the illusion of certainty, then we open ourselves to the adventure of life and to surrendering to what comes next, without imposing our own will, honestly, submission is an imposition onto our reality. When we submit to something, we make the conscious choice to give ourselves to an authority or to a reality. But if we instead decide to make our ego submit to uncertainty, which is at the base of all things, which is this emptiness, then we can begin to experience freedom inside ourselves and our souls, and just take the comings and goings of life with so much more peace, and even with gratitude for our ability to just observe what we are experiencing. So that's an overview. With that in mind, why don't we just take a moment to quiet ourselves, whatever space you're in right now. See if you can focus your attention and your intention toward this idea of submitting to the greatness of consciousness, to that ether, to all there is, and to the uncertainty that follows it. So let's try as you're able. If you need to pause this podcast to do so, feel free to take that time, or if you need to come back to us later, you can do that too. But we're going to do what we always do. We're going to close our eyes if we're able, and we're going to breathe in through our nose and out through the mouth. And just take this time to, if the concepts that we've been speaking about have felt uncomfortable, take this time to remind yourself, here you are, breathing. You're still here. The abyss isn't coming to get you and to take you out. You're here right now, listening to my voice and breathing. And there's so much peace and gratitude for just this moment of simply this. So let's continue that breathing. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And what we're going to try to do through the course of this little meditation is just to identify with the largeness of the ocean of consciousness itself. That is where your awareness comes from. That's where your consciousness comes from. And ultimately, that's where your truest identity comes from. Not even from your personality, but from the truth that you are part and parcel of this grand conscious ocean of God itself. You are here now in this ocean, part of it. Breathe in. And breathe out. You are like the sky. Your mind, your inner landscape is like the sky, and these clouds pass through. This stormy weather passes through, and we're able to see the stars shine through sometimes, unveiling some deeper reality of ourselves. But those things that block our view of the sun, the stars, those are like our thoughts, those clouds that pass through. We don't have to identify so strongly with those thoughts. They are part of our conscious experience. And I don't know if you've ever just laid down and looked up at the sky, but sometimes that can be a very intimidating reality to look at. I know that when I was a kid, I would sometimes put my head down by the ground and look up between my feet, and it would feel like I was upside down on the earth. And I would allow myself to feel that feeling of like, wow, what's really holding me here? And just realizing that gravity did play a role in my life, but that I was entertaining the idea of what if it didn't? And then what would happen? Would I float up into the sky? You know, these sort of concepts, they're fun, right? And they're what children do. It's that childlike wonder. And this is kind of like a grown-up version of that, allowing ourselves to realize the enormity of self. It's cool that's like a base reality we have to wrestle with, and it's something that can really actually nourish us and give us a lot of positive realization doing that. So identifying with the sky and identifying with something that looks so limitless, and then those clouds coming through like thoughts that just come and go. It gives us the freedom to realize that we are bigger even than those thoughts, and even than our personality or our the shining through of our ego here and there. That we are bigger than that. And our discipline together is to try and bring that ego into service of the higher self that we share together, right? We're all part of this engine of creation, of this dream of God. We're not separate from one another. It's a lie that we aren't one. We are one with one another. So allow that to be a moment for you of meditation as we continue breathing. You know, it's limiting belief and limiting thought to think of ourselves as these neat, tidy, little buttoned-up individuals with our separate lives from everyone else, with our little things that we do and our little Netflix accounts and our little bank accounts and our little routines of taking the dog on a walk and all that. And there's nothing wrong with any of that stuff, but it's safe and secure, and in some ways limiting when we begin to identify with those things as us, as who we are, as what we are. You're so much more than that. You know, the power that's inside you is limitless. And it's so easy for us to forget that. As a matter of fact, if you heard me say that just now and you felt like it sounded crazy, that might be an indicator of your own belief, your own limiting belief. You are a child of God. You are one with all of creation, and you have power to make changes in your life, to change the story that you're experiencing, to not identify solely with these thoughts that keep occurring. You can seek counseling. You can seek new life rhythms. You can build new neural pathways. You can utilize unorthodox methods of self-care and education. You can try all sorts of things. The things that try to keep you on the straight and narrow, the beliefs and doctrines that try to do that, so often become limiting for us. And those disciplines can be really good for us too. They can serve a purpose in our life to keep us away from damaging habits and help us build better habits. But when we subscribe to those doctrines and beliefs as something that is is speaking truth to us about who we are, that we are wicked, we are evil, we are bad, and you begin to identify with that self as the evil and negative truth, then you are easier to control. You care so much what other people think. You care so much about how you measure up to these teachings, about these beliefs. And once you get to a certain point, you begin to see the trap that you've fallen into. And that's not to say that every single belief that there is needs to be usurped and transplanted by something greater. And I'm not coming to you as an evangelist of some greater way of thinking. I'm simply saying that a realization really comes through in the mystics from all of our faith and wisdom traditions that we are interconnected and one. And that is what we're doing here in this meditation on the void, on the ocean, on the sky, on those things that are limitless and how terrifying they are to us. That might be a measure of how limiting our beliefs about ourself are if we feel fear over this contemplation. So allow yourself just one more time on this last set of breaths to identify with that limitlessness and to realize your identity as part of that. And allow that to change the way that you look at your reality, at the people around you. Maybe you're struggling with issues inside your family, maybe in your marriage, maybe in the workplace, maybe it could be anywhere. This change in thinking can allow you to begin to feel a whole brand new brand of compassion inside yourself for the people that you interact with. So let's take a deep breath in as part of the ocean, the dream of God, and breathe out. Your dreams don't come from some rotten, filthy rag place. If you have searched yourself and know that your dreams are pure and that you have things that you desire for yourself and things that you desire for the world, and those things are sought with purity and with compassion and love, you can trust the guide inside yourself pulling you toward those things. And we would encourage you to pursue those things as we breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth one more time. Amen. Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the Ground Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, tell your friends, and you can find us at cathedralproject.com. Go in peace.